doing this evening?
Awesome.
Well, welcome. We are so glad that you are here with us this evening. And one thing that we really love and really appreciate here with Crew is punctuality.
Yes. We love it when you guys are on time. And you know, that's something we value. And we know that you guys really value pizza.
Yes.
And so we wanted to unite these two interests with a little game called In to Win. So if you guys have those red tickets, can you go ahead and pull those out now? Pull those out. All right, and I will be our Vanna White for the night.
And so, find those tickets. I'm going to draw one of these numbers out of this cup. And if you are the lucky winner, you get this beautiful, fresh, Little Caesars hot pizza. Right?
Look at that.
Yummy,
Yum. All right.
All right. I'm going to
hold this.
And I'm going to
And
draw
here we
one
go.
of these. Can we get a drum roll? And our winner, 7, 4, 5, 7, 7, 2, 9.
And we have a winner. Come on up. Come on up. All right, this lovely
give her a round of
lady has just
applause.
won a free pizza. Here you are. Share it with your many friends. You can make some friends. I can take it, whatever. Doesn't matter. Man, hey, we see someone who we want to be friends with tonight.
Exactly.
There she is.
Well, welcome everybody. We want to introduce ourselves here up on stage. My name is Mara. I'm from Saline, Michigan, right down the road. I am a junior and I'm studying business.
And my name is Alex. I'm also a junior and I'm also studying business. That's why we're up here together. They only match people who are similar. And so you guys are here tonight with Crew's all-campus gathering. We're so excited for you guys to be here. For you guys that are new to Crew, we exist here on campus. We're a caring community that's passionate about connecting U of M students to Jesus Christ. And we're so excited for you guys to join us tonight. So wait, we are here every Thursday, right, Mara?
That's correct. We're here every Thursday at 8 p.m. for what we call our all-campus gathering, uniquely named for the fact that it's an all-campus gathering, right?
Yes.
It's a chance for students from all across campus to come together and just to get to spend time with one another, authentically diving into what it means to get to know God personally. So whether it's your first time here or it's your 100th time here, we welcome you and are so excited that you are here with us. But Crew is just one of a couple movements on campus, right?
We are, because we're here with Crew, but there are many more around campus because we all kind of like working together, you know, like that teamwork thing. I think there's actually 7 movements on campus, which fun story. The purpose are different movements, reach out to international students or South Asian students, but they're basically to offer programs or activities that are relevant to people's cultures or even that can fit into their time schedules, like Athletes in Action, for example. But funny story, just a couple weeks ago, we only had 6 movements. And now we have 7. We've adopted a new sibling into the family.
Which is
pretty
amazing.
Exciting. So actually, we're going to hear about that a little bit later, right?
But that's only like one of many ways to get on campus. And all campus gathering is a chance where we get to meet together. But Alex, what if that's too big? Like, what if I want to get to know other people in other parts on campus?
I know. I definitely feel that. You know, some people who are extroverts, they thrive in this space, right, Mara? They thrive. Oh, the extroverts are feeling it. But the introverts are like, whoa, you know, like so many people. I'm excited maybe just to get to like 5, 6 people, you know, maybe 10. That's like my max. You know, I'm actually middle between introvert, extrovert, so I can relate to you all. But on campus, you know, if you are looking for a community, you're looking for a place to belong, a place to ask questions about life or about God and just discuss those with one another, to form deep relationships with people around you, especially outside of school, because with all that stress, sometimes there's not that opportunity. That's why we have our small groups on campus. We call them community groups, but they're an excellent way to get to know people from your area of campus and also for those of you that are Christian, to get to develop your relationship with God even more. And for those of you that maybe aren't or are seeking, it's a way to ask those questions. It's a place where we can ask those questions within the context of a caring community. And so if you want to learn more about those community groups, actually, do I have my South Quaders out there? Can I get some love from them? Yeah? All right.
West
I
Quad?
love it. West?
Hey, there's my West Quad folk.
Definitely. As you can see, we have some community group pride here as well. But honestly, guys, being involved in a community group is one of the most rewarding experiences of all college, if not life for me. It's an amazing way to really develop deep relationships and get to know more about faith and God, and 10 out of 10 would recommend. So if you guys are interested in finding out more about those, check out michigancrew.com for some locations, or talk to Mara or I, talk to a leader, talk to one of the crew staff. It's okay. While you're online, if you're checking out Michigan Crew, feel free to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and also we have a hashtag. It's pretty cool, right? For those of you guys that are new here tonight, we want you guys to use this. It's pretty cool, hipster. Not every club has their own hashtag,
It even
right?
rhymes.
Yeah, it's hashtag Maize and Blue Crew. So tonight, take pictures, post them online. Great way. Also, for any of you guys, whenever you miss a ACG or any other fun video or whatnot, those are posted on our YouTube channel. So check those out.
So if you see some fun videos of people you may know later this evening, go find them. They're likely on YouTube.
Yes.
But this is one of the many ways that you can get to know more about Crew, who we are, what we stand for, but we really want to get to know each and every one of you. So when you came in today, there's probably a little yellow card, maize, we're Michigan students, correct? A maize card here on our seat. If you could, at some point this evening, fill that out, put your information in there. Just let us know who you are. Maybe jot down any questions or concerns, really anything that you want. We will collect those later on for a very special and unique prize.
Ooh, prize.
And that's one way we have fun here, Alex, but what's one way we're looking forward to having fun right now?
You know, it's not too often in the week that you have so many people in a room and you're not in a lecture.
That is very true.
And so we really have to take advantage of these opportunities to really, interact with maybe a game. Ooh. So I could explain to you with my many, many, many words what this game would be, but I thought of a better way to do it would be through a cool video. So check this out.
Hanky Panky. A typical box of tissues contains 160 tissues. Dispense its contents one sheet at a time. Removing one guides the next into place, and so on. In the next challenge, using only one hand, the contestant must empty one box of tissue.
So that is our game for the evening. But it's no fun unless you have a little healthy dose of competition.
Yes.
And so what we want to do is make this a competition between no one other than the 4 classes here at the University of Michigan. And if you are here for one of those extra years, you can just fit in with the seniors. They're right there as well.
Perfect.
So we want to get a couple of different representatives up here on our stage, and we're going to start from the top. Can I get a senior volunteer? We got one? We got right here. All right, thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Can I get a junior volunteer? Oh, come on. We got to represent well for our class. Right there. Junior? Yeah, come on up. Yeah. Woo! All right, you're probably guessing what I'm going to say next, right? Can we get a freshman volunteer? Right there. Yeah, come on down. And last but not least, can we get a sophomore volunteer?
We're going to throw in. So you have to be ready.
Oh, this is disappointing, sophomore class. What are you going to do about it? Right here. Come on down. All right. So we are lining you up, and we are very excited for you. As you can see, there's a box of tissues here. Saw the instructions. I've got one hand to pull it out. But there's no fun unless we have a little bit of a way that we can make this a little bit more challenging.
Are you ready?
And that we want you to do it with your eyes closed.
Ooh.
Yes.
But even more than that, do we have blindfolds for them?
I don't know. You know?
All right, we might have to just do with the honor code. All right, the honor code then. We'll do it. All right, tell me your name.
Maddie.
All right, freshman class, you're cheering for Maddie. Tell me your
Sophomore.
name. Sophomore class. Ben. Ben, what class are you representing? Freshman. There we go. Ben representing the freshman. Freshman, cheer for Ben. And tell me your name. Stephanie here. Stephanie's representing the junior class. Juniors? Sorry, Steph. And tell everyone your name.
I'm Ryan.
And we're cheering for him, seniors. You guys ready? All right, so I need you guys all to close your eyes.
Close your eyes, and we're
Kinda
going to have you...
Maybe get your hand on the tissue box. Try to just figure out where it is so you don't lose sight.
Yep.
And, listen closely in case you knock it off the chair.
Are you
One
ready?
hand. You gotta have your other hand behind your back. Everybody ready? Are you guys ready to cheer? Do you have all their names?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go! Cheer! Oh, dang. Steph's got some speed. Ryan's got it. He's got some speed.
Oh,
Oh no.
we've lost the box.
How's it
We've
going?
lost the box.
Oh, she's going. She's got the fire.
She's
Oh, look at all these tissues, man. Wow. Oh no. She found the tissue box on the ground. She found the tissue box on the ground. She's still going. Oh, she's not drawn from the top anymore. Come on, let's go, Steph. You're almost there. Oh, he's not quite done. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. You're almost there.
We're almost there.
Oh,
y'all.
almost there. Come on. You gotta cheer him on. You gotta cheer him on. Let's go. Keep going, Ryan. Come on, Steph. Perfect. All right.
Do we have a winner yet? Right? We have a winner. All right, you all can stop.
Yeah, see, that was good.
All right, let's give every one of them a round of applause. That was amazing.
That was good. That was good. All right, we're gonna have a quick cleanup crew up here. Oh man. Hey, who out of the audience now wishes that they were up here? You can head down.
Couple people. Those extroverts probably, right? Who are like, oh, it's kind of fun.
Dude, that was amazing. I
never knew that there were so many tissues in one box. Like, that's kind of crazy to think about.
And maybe let's give it one last up for Ryan, Victor here. There he goes. Senior class, rightfully so, rightfully so. Good job, Steph. You're going for it. You're killing it. Oh man. And let's give a hand for our other three contestants as well.
Yeah.
I know they were good sports. Man, I saw Steph over here. I feel like she practiced beforehand, you know? She was ready. I don't know if you guys saw it, she like dropped it on the ground and she was immediately like, just knew where to go, you know? Laser eyes.
That honor code, you know? Exactly. All right. Well, we, as you can see, love having a ton of fun up here. There are actually many different parts of our all-campus gathering that I absolutely love. But one of my personal favorite is the time in our program where we get to have a student, just like one of you, one of us really as well, to come up and just share a little bit about who they are and how God has been working in their life. So I want to take the moment to welcome up a sophomore who is with me in the West Quad community group. Please join me in giving a round of applause to Turner Sale.
Evening. As Mara said, my name is Turner, and I'm a sophomore in West Quad. And so I want to try and prove a point to you guys today, and that's for those of us that have accepted Christ, we have the unique opportunity as well as the responsibility to follow this simple command. So if you forget this, then you kind of missed the point of what I'm saying. But you can check out as soon as I end it, okay? We need to be radically loving and growing together in Christ. Just two things. So you can go ahead and check out now if you don't really care. So I want to kind of prove this to you by just telling you two short stories about my little faith journey. But I want to preface this by saying that I grew up in a Christian home with God-fearing parents, wonderful parents, and great siblings, but I never had any relationship with God, to be honest. I didn't really think he was a relational being, and I saw no point in it. And coming into middle school and through a good deal of high school, I was not only an atheist, but probably an anti-theist. But I found that as this was occurring, I also started to lose kind of the fun in life. And so I fell into a deeper and deeper depression as time went on. And never got to the point where I attempted, but I contemplated a lot. It was very regular. And so given this, I want you to kind of put yourself in the shoes of a smart aleck 9th grade freshman, okay? That's me. And so coming into freshman year, I decided, okay, well, God's not real, so I'm going to join the Free Thinkers Club, which was a club designed to talk about issues and with no restraints of faith. So I went in, talked to great people, and I would still join it again today. It's awesome. But the problem I found was that even though we had intelligent conversation, we never had a real community, because as soon as the time was up, you're like, oh, it's 5 p.m., I'm out of here. And nobody stayed around and legitimately cared about each other. So now fast forward a year, and put yourself in a smart aleck 10th grader's shoes, still me. But this time, I have a cute girl in my mind. And of course, as every 10th grade guy does, I followed that cute girl into community group. And so I went into community group only thinking that I get to spend some more time with her. But I started to realize that even though I had those same deep conversations with people about politics, but I also got the whole other side of faith. And I found that as soon as the time ended, and it was usually later when it ended, people still stuck around. So it was just to talk about politics, to talk about faith, or to simply throw a frisbee around. And so people had a legitimate connection to each other, and they really showed a love that I had never thought God actually cared about with me. And so I found that as people showed love, I not only kind of slowly pulled out of depression, but I also slowly had coming together with God. Not a unique experience where it just instantly happened, but where it really changed my life. And so I want to just kind of say that, that's not going to be everybody's story. You're not going to go from deep depression to really happiness all of a sudden, and it's not going to change everything in your life instantaneously, but it will change a lot. And so for all those of you checked out, because it's probably a lot, I want you to come back now for this last point, and just for me to reiterate the fact that we have a great opportunity as Christians, those of us that have accepted Christ, to show that same kind of love. And even if it doesn't move people right towards Christ, it gives them just another step and brings them closer to us, that we can have even closer friendships. So thanks for just listening to my story.
Thanks, Turner, for sharing that. I think especially just being real with us that there are different points in our life where we do go through those like low moments or low things, but that oftentimes God really can give us that joy and that love for one another that really pulls us out of those. And I think that's us. Can we give it a hand again for Turner? And definitely, as Turner just kind of exhibited right there, that's something we are really all about here at Crew, is being real about how we're doing, being real with each other, talking about things that we're actually feeling instead of always kind of putting up a front. And so, yeah, thanks again for Turner for just sharing that. Tonight, every all-campus gathering we also have a segment where we have a talk from one of our staff members. And so tonight, I'm excited to hear from one of our very own staff members. He's kind of the head of our Crew movement here at University of Michigan. I'm excited for what he has to share with us. He's actually been on staff with Crew for over 10 years, is married, has 4 children, and I'm excited for what he has for us. So guys, can you help me welcome on up Nate Ardle?
Hold on. There we go. Almost 18 years, which is hard to believe. Well, I need a little true confession for you guys tonight. I am a justice freak, meaning I have a high justice meter. How many of you out there have a high justice meter? You'd say, yes, I'm all about justice. Yes, so many of you. How many of you are Walking Dead fans? How many out there? Yeah. So I've been kind of binging on Walking Dead. I've been watching about 1 episode a night right before I go to sleep, which is not a great idea. But I'm trying to catch up because it's coming again on Sunday, and I'm trying to catch up because it's such a great show. But when I watch that show, my justice meter goes crazy because there's a lot of bad people doing really bad things. I'm like, they need to die. It's like that's what happens in The Walking Dead. People die, and then they come back to life, and then they die all over again. It's kind of crazy. But a sillier way that my justice meter kind of gets the best of me sometimes is when I'm driving, all right? Now, I think that it's not just my job to drive well myself, it's actually my job to teach other people how to drive while I'm driving. And that's what the horn is for, right? The horn is a teaching tool to teach other people how to drive. So I use the horn liberally when I drive because I want people to know. But I really see this happen when you're going into a construction zone. You guys have done this. And you have to merge, okay? Now, you know what happens. Now, I'm one of those enlightened people. I understand that the quicker everybody merges, the quicker we all get through, right? That's the way it works. But there's people that think that they have this right to skip ahead of everybody else who's already merged and to dive in at the last second, okay? I hate that. I hate it. In fact, the best thing is when you're doing this, because here's the reality. When you see the sign that it's time to merge, that's when it's time to merge. So if I see the sign, I begin to merge, and if I'm in the merging lane, I let other people come in when you get to that sign. But at some point, you get far enough beyond that sign that it's no longer time to merge. You've missed your chance. Now, I love it when there's 2 semi-trucks. Have you ever seen this? 2 semi-trucks that just plant themselves right next to each other to prevent anybody from getting around them. Those guys are my heroes. Those guys are awesome. But if they're not around, then I feel like it's my job to enforce the merging rules. That means I get as close as I possibly can, my bumper to their bumper, and they are not going to get into our lane. Once we've reached that point, where that arbitrary point that I set, they are not going to get in. I am going to have justice with these people. So that's kind of a silly example, but I would imagine all of you feel that at all different points in your life. There's things that you feel like, I just want justice in this area. We all want justice. We hate injustice. It's like hardwired into us. And as you think about justice, we all understand what it is, but you've probably never really thought about, like, how is justice defined? So let me give you the definition. Justice, I looked this up, on the internet, because that's where you look up everything, says that justice is the quality of being just. Oh, thanks. That's really helpful. But it's also defined in this way, and this is more helpful. It's about righteousness, equitableness, and moral rightness. Okay? Now, equitableness, that's the one I usually think about when I think about justice. Everything being equal for everybody. That's kind of what we're thinking about. But this idea of righteousness and moral rightness, I don't usually think about those things when I think about justice, but if you think about it just a little bit, they make sense. We all have this intuitive sense that we should be just in the way we treat other people, and other people ought to be just in the way that they treat us. We ought to be equitable. But there's this implication that there's a moral code that goes along with justice. To be just is also to be moral. They go together. And we all want to be treated in this way. We want other people to treat us in a way that's moral and right and just. And, on a good day at least, that's how we want to treat other people as well. It goes both ways. Now, you're all at a Christian meeting tonight. I don't know if you knew that, but here you are, a Christian meeting. And it's kind of interesting to begin to think about this issue of justice and righteousness and a moral code in relationship to Christianity. They do kind of go together. Now, if you're to go out on campus and you're to ask any number of students about Christianity, what do they think about Christianity? What is true about Christians or about Christianity? They would probably say something like, well, Christians are all about being good people. And that's what a lot of people like about Christianity, is it actually promotes people being good towards other people and towards each other. And they especially like Christianity when Christianity is like promoting justice around the world, which is one of the great things that Christians do around the world. But interestingly enough, the thing that people like about Christianity also leads into the thing that people don't like about Christianity. Because people really don't like, what they don't like about Christianity is how the Christian faith calls people to be just or right or moral. People like the emphasis of justice within Christianity, but they don't like the source of where justice comes for the Christian. For the Christian, a person with Christian beliefs, justice is just a part of a larger set of beliefs that lead to a life that they would consider to be moral. The morality of Christianity, which is very broad, is where justice comes from for the Christian faith. And this, of course, plays into all different areas of behavior, whether it's the way that we live our lives sexually, the way that we entertain ourselves, or any number of different types of behavior that we all have to deal with. Now, people want to be good in general. In general, people want to be good, but they don't always agree with the standard of goodness or perfection or righteousness that they see Christianity requiring. They don't like the moral standard that they feel like Christianity is actually imposing upon other people. Because honestly, none of us like being told what to do. We don't. I have 4 kids, as they said, and so I see this. My kids don't like being told what to do. And even though my kids are actually pretty good kids, when we tell them, do this, and they don't want to do it, they push back. Okay, that's just natural. We all do that. But again, somebody who rejects Christian morals doesn't mean that they themselves do not desire to be moral. They actually do desire to be moral. Just because you reject a version of morality doesn't mean that there's not this deep desire to experience justice for yourself and for other people to experience justice in this world. And as you think about this issue of justice around the world, one of the amazing things about the age that we live in is the incredible sense of justice that we see all over the world. Different cultures, but even if you look at cultures around the world, there seems to be certain things that as a world community that we believe are true and just and right. And I actually wanted to give you a chance to think about some of these things together. So we have a few questions. We're going to put them up on the screen. here's what I want you to discuss together. And this is something we do often here at ACG. We don't want to just be about you listening to somebody up here, but for you to actually begin to interact with some of these things yourselves. So here's the questions I want you to think about with just a few people around you. Where do you see the desire for justice played out in our world today? And what are some of the moral positions that seem to be commonly held by people from most cultures? Okay, easy question. Not really. Second question, what do you think this desire for justice or good or rightness tells us about humanity? That's easy, right? Okay, I'm only going to give you like a few minutes to talk about this. You're only going to be able to touch the surface, but I do want you to think about this together. Turn to 2 or 3 people next to you, talk about this for just a few minutes. Go for it. All right, here's where I get to be really mean and cut you off. I'm sure you all solved these completely, right? You're ready to write an essay paper on these questions. But hopefully you got to think about this just a little bit. Now, I would imagine a number of things came up of different ways that you see kind of people embracing the same kind of moral code around the world. So whether it's the desire to fight against human trafficking or the desire to kind of fight against maybe a rogue leader who tries to oppress his people, or whether it's the desire that those who have the most resources in this world would actually help those who have very little to live on, those are the kinds of things you see people embracing all across the world, right? That's kind of this standard moral code that we see a lot of people having. But where does that come from? Where does that moral code come from? And how might that play into our understanding about God? That's what I kind of where I want to go tonight. We all believe that justice and morality are important. We just differ as to why they're important. But you know what? The why of the different things that we believe about morality is really critical. And that's what I want to try to understand a little bit tonight, is where different people come from on the issue of where morality and justice come from. We're starting a 2-week series tonight that we're entitling Hidden Beliefs. There are actually some commonly held beliefs within our society for which most people haven't really considered the source. They haven't considered where these common sets of beliefs come from. Tim Keller is a pastor in New York City, and he talks about these commonly held beliefs in a lot of his books and his sermons. And he says that people in our culture have constructed a web of alternative beliefs. And these beliefs have been embraced by the majority of the American people. They've come to seem self-evident to most people. They have the ring of truth, and most of us, in some senses, believe these things, myself included. The problem is that these beliefs really aren't self-evident at all. They seem to be, but they're really not. They can't be proven by science, just like so many parts of religion can't be proven by science. A lot of them have major holes or gaps in the logic of these belief systems. And a lot of them take a huge leap of faith to really believe in. And the issue we've been talking already about tonight, the issue of the source of morality or this desire for justice that we have, is actually one of those hidden beliefs in our culture. Now, our culture is a moral culture. It is. Despite what you may have heard Christians say sometimes about our culture is a moral culture. People have a moral compass. People have a pretty clear ideas of what justice should entail in the world. The real question is, where do those ideals come from? Where does that sense of justice come from for people? How are we supposed to know what's moral or right or just? Now, there's a lot of ways to consider that. I thought it might actually be helpful to think about, from a Christian perspective, where does morality come from? And then from a perspective that's maybe to the opposite side of Christianity, where would they say morality comes from? Now, I could have gone and I could have found some philosopher to talk about this, but philosophers are kind of boring, all right? I'm sorry, any philosophy majors out there, I'm sorry, I just bashed you. I didn't mean to do that. But I did find this woman who's an op-ed columnist for the New York Times, and she wrote an article way back in 2011 that was excellent. She did such a great job of addressing the issue of morality from an atheistic perspective. She's an avowed atheist. Her name was Louise Antony, and I want to see some of the things that she says about the source of morality. First of all, what does she say about the source of morality? I think we're going to have it up here on the screen. She says this: first, let's take a cold, hard look at the consequences of pinning morality to the existence of God. Consider the following moral judgments that seem to me to be obviously true. It is wrong to drive people from their homes or to kill them because you want their land. It's wrong to enslave people. It's wrong to torture prisoners of war. Anyone who witnesses genocide, enslavement, or torture is morally required to try to stop it. To say that morality depends on the existence of God is to say that none of these specific moral judgments is true unless God exists. That seems to me to be a remarkable claim. If God turned out not to exist, then slavery would be okay. There'd be nothing wrong with torture. The pain of another human being would mean nothing. Wow, I understand what she's getting at here. I really do. And she has this intuitive sense that certain things are right and wrong. And again, the vast majority of people would probably agree with her, including the list that she gives here. She doesn't like the fact that the things that she lists here, these moral requirements, that she feels so deeply are true, might be dependent upon the existence of God. And her biggest fear in pinning some of these moral judgments on the existence of God is what the nature of God might turn out to be. What if God's a tyrant? What if God actually calls on people to do something like eat their children? She actually uses that example. And there actually are cultures out that promote that in certain circumstances. Or any of the other things that she says here, these moral judgments she's making, these things that she believes to be true, what if this God says that they're not true or teaches somebody to do something the opposite? And she looks around the world and she sees people doing a lot of awful things in the name of religion, and she's afraid of what it would mean if God is actually driving some of those things. Now, it's interesting here that she talks about these things as being self-evident. She doesn't use that word, but that's what she says. And that really goes back to what Tim Keller is talking about when he calls these the hidden beliefs of our culture. Now, just a couple of the things that she mentions here that she says are so self-evident really aren't so self-evident, honestly. For instance, the person who takes somebody else's land actually believes usually that they have the right to do so. Or the person who enslaves or tortures someone actually believes that they have good reasons to do so. So within their moral framework, they actually think that it's right or moral or even just in consideration of themselves. So there's already this problem with the fact that maybe we don't have these commonly held beliefs after all. Now, if morality and justice don't come from God, where do they come from? Well, this is what she says next. She says, we moralistic atheists, that's how she defines herself, do not see right and wrong as artifacts of a divine protection racket. Rather, we find moral value to be immanent in the natural world, arising from the vulnerabilities of sentient beings and from the capacities of rational beings to recognize and to respond to those vulnerabilities and capacities in others. Now, that was very philosophical. In other words, what she's saying here is that justice and morality are determined by us, people, society, in a sense. And we together as people who are able to reason, we determine what is good. We determine these things because we are vulnerable. As a society, as individuals, we are vulnerable, and we need to work together to survive. That's why we come up with these moral frameworks. Now, that sounds good, but it's kind of inadequate, and here's why. The biggest problem with this is that it's not grounded in anything substantive or anything unchanging. It's really just about a common consensus reached by a smaller group of people at any one time in any one given place. But it doesn't actually go from culture to culture, from time to time, or place to place. Have you ever stopped to consider how uncommon consensus is among human beings? Because the reality is that among people, the norm is actually disagreement, not agreement. And you kind of see that all around us, even here at this university. Another problem with this view of hers is the absence of moral obligation. You see, what if I disagree with the moral judgments being made by the society? What if I disagree with those things? What is then my motivation to follow what the society says I ought to follow? Let me give you an example from real life, just to make this come home just a little bit. Our crew movement here has had a partnership with the Aruna Project for a number of years. The Aruna Project is a nonprofit that works in one of the brothels, the red light district of one of the largest cities in South Asia. And the project is all about helping rescue women and their children from the sex trade in that city. Most of these women were tricked into coming to the city and then were trapped and enslaved against their will to be a part of the sex trade there. And all of us would see that and we would say, well, that is one of the grossest wrongs that could possibly be done in our world. We'd say it's so obviously wrong that they would do that. But then you'd begin to think about, well, what about the men that actually go there every night? What about them? And what about their sense of their sense of morality? Well, we would rightly call on men like that to stop what they're doing, stop their exploitation of women and girls even as young as 12. And we might even say something like, well, their society actually says that that's wrong. These are just a few men doing something heinous. We have the same kinds of things happening in our culture. We do. It's just a few men. It really actually goes against their societal norms. Or you look at their political system of this country and you say, well, it's because of the corruption that exists within this political system. There's so many bribes happening, and that's why this is still allowed to happen, even in a society that says it's wrong. The problem with that kind of analysis is it's actually not true in relationship to that culture. The reality is it's not just a few perverts that are going to the brothels every night. It's thousands upon thousands of men going to the brothels every night. And if you were to actually do a survey of the men of that culture, you would see a large percentage of them saying that there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with this system of the brothels. And when you think about the political system there certainly are bribes that are taking place, and that's one of the reasons that they turn a blind eye to what's happening. But the reality is that there's some within that political system that actually see the brothel system as a good for society. They say that men need a sexual outlet, and this is actually a less destructive way to do that than if they are allowed to go and to abuse or rape women that are outside of the brothel system. In fact, over the past couple years, there's been some very public rapes that have happened in this country that have created a huge outcry in the country of the people of that nation. And yet some of the politicians have come around to say, see, this is actually why the brothel system is needed. It's actually needed because if you didn't have it, then you'd have even more rapes and more abuse happening around the country. And we could see that and we could say, that's messed up. That's ridiculous. I can't believe that they allow something like that to happen. And yet, who are we to judge them? Who are we to say that their moral system is better or worse than ours? One additional problem that arises if justice and morality are determined by society is that it ultimately leads to the concept of might makes right. That is, ultimately, it's going to be the person who has the power and the ability to enforce their will upon other people. And this happens locally with individuals, and it also happens with nation states. The largest nations become imperialistic towards smaller nations that can't really have their way. Now again, I think Antony has done a great job in her article discussing the source of morality and justice from an atheistic perspective, but she really does in the article, and I can't go into all the details, she misunderstands the nature of Christian ethics. And that's why I want to take just a few minutes to look at now. So for those who do follow Jesus Christ and call themselves Christian, where does morality come from? Well, the clear teaching of the Christian scriptures is that moral obligation must come from an outside source. Immoral ideas must come from the very character of God himself. One of the clearest places we see this is found in one of Jesus' most difficult teachings, and it's found in Matthew chapter 5. This is what he says. We'll have it up here on the screen. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even the pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. Jesus is taking a very common belief within the Jewish culture here, and he throws it away. And he's calling on people to do morally what is actually very incredibly difficult to do. And honestly, it kind of seems almost impossible or even counterintuitive. And he's calling for a complete transformation of our heart towards those who would seek to do us harm. And honestly, I have a really hard time with this commandment. I look at this and I say, I can't really do that. I have a really hard time of doing it. I mean, I talked about my high justice meter. Man, I think it's really my job to enforce justice upon other people. How in the world am I supposed to do this with other people? So what do I do with that? Do I just disregard it? Do I ignore it? That's what a lot of people do. When they come across something in a belief system that they don't agree with, they either just kind of get rid of or ignore that part of that belief system that they don't like, or they just jettison the belief system altogether. But Tim Keller says, what happens when you have a God that can't contradict you? Because I think that's what a lot of people do. They want a God who doesn't contradict them. They want a God who says all the things that they believe to be true. They want a God who never asks them to do something that they don't want to do. But when you have a relationship like that with a God, it's not really a relationship at all. In order to have a relationship with a person, that person has to be able to contradict you. That's true in a marriage relationship. My wife, to have a real relationship with my wife, she has to be able to contradict me. And she does, all the time. But that's what a real relationship is like. And if we're going to have a real relationship with God, he's got to be able to contradict us. Otherwise, what you've done is not actually had a relationship with God. You've actually simply created God to be in your own image, not his. Now, the key to these moral commands is the very last verse when he says, "Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect." That is the basis of Christian morality. It's God himself. It's his character that's the basis for Christian morality. And so something is moral because it adheres to his nature and his character. Now think about what that means in relationship to this commandment specifically. First of all, what do we know is true about God? Okay, there's a number of things that are true about God, but think about this. God is a loving and forgiving God. He doesn't respond to us according to what we deserve, and he forgives us when we're unforgivable. That's what's true about God. That's the basis of what he says here. These things are also based in some of the promises that God gives us. We see one of these promises in Romans chapter 12, and we have it up here on the screen. The Apostle Paul says this, "Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, 'It is mine to avenge, I will repay,' says the Lord. On the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him something to drink. And in doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." You see, the promise is that God is the one who will execute justice, so we don't have to. That's why we can follow this command. That's the only reason we can follow this command. But the reality of this standard, and honestly the reality of any standard that we would seek to follow as believers in Christ and followers of Christ, is that it's impossible to do so. Well, that doesn't seem very fair. He's giving us a standard that's actually impossible to live out. But the amazing fact about Christianity is that the impossible is made possible by God himself. You see, God himself became a man, Jesus Christ, to live the life that none of us could possibly live, and then to die the death that we should have died, so that we could actually have the opportunity to live forever with him, to be forgiven of our offenses that we commit against him and the offenses that we commit against other people. And when you submit your life to God, there's a couple things that happen. First of all, he does forgive those offenses against him and against other people. He allows you to be perfect in a way that you never could be perfect before, because it's actually his son Jesus living inside of you that is perfect, so that you don't have to be. And he actually then, one of the amazing things is that he says he comes to live inside of you, that Jesus sends his Spirit to live inside of you and to give you the power to do what you could never do on your own. That's an amazing thing. And that's what makes real transformation possible. That's what allows me to do something I could never, ever do on my own. So what does this mean for all of us here sitting in this room? Well, I just have a few takeaways for you to think about. If you're not a follower of Jesus Christ, I would ask for you to consider the source of your desire for justice and rightness. I know you want justice. I know you want to act well towards other people and other people to act well towards you. But where does that desire really come from? Could it be that this very real desire that seems to be shared by so many people all around the world is a desire of ours because we are made in the image of the God who is just and right and holy and perfect? That might be something you've never considered before, but it might be something you actually have considered and you've actually rejected before. And as I've talked to people who are not followers of Christ, not Christians over the years, I've often found that the biggest reasons that they have rejected Christianity or rejected the Christian God is because they have a lot of misunderstandings of what he's really like. Either that or they've had really bad run-ins with Christians. They've had really bad experiences with Christians and are like, I don't want any part of this. So what I would ask you to do, to consider, would be to put aside maybe some of your false conceptions about God that aren't based in what it actually says in the Bible. Put aside some of the interactions, painful interactions that you may have had with Christians, and consider Jesus once again. Consider him and him alone. And actually maybe be willing to continue the discussion that we've started tonight. Maybe continue that with somebody who brought you here tonight. Or even put on the yellow cards that you're going to fill out here in just a little bit, that you're willing to talk to somebody about that. For those of you who are a follower of Christ, here's what I'd ask you to do and to consider. That you would actually resubmit yourself to God's will in all things, including the things that seem to be the most difficult. Be willing to allow God to contradict you. And one of the ways you need to be willing to do that is by spending time in the entirety of the Bible. You need to take time to read all of it, not just little parts of it, not just the parts that you like, because sometimes that's what we do. We come to our favorite verses that say the things that we like, but we kind of skip over verses like this that say things that are kind of difficult. I'm asking you to consider the entirety of what God reveals to us, because it all points us to him and it all allows us to experience everything that we desire in life. And the other thing is to ask him to give you the power to do the things that are most difficult for you to do. We were created as moral beings, every one of us, because we're created in the image of God. A God who's loving, a God who's just, a God who desires justice for all people. But it's only by following Jesus Christ and having the presence of his power within us. It's only in having those things that we have a firm foundation for the justice that we all desire and the power to actually live it out in our lives. Let me pray. Father, I am so grateful for your word. I'm grateful for your willingness to contradict me, because you desire my holiness more than my happiness. You desire for me to find life in you instead of finding life in so many other things. God, I'm so grateful that you let us know who you are, that you desire for us to have a relationship with you. I'm so grateful that you give us the power to do what we could never do, to be able to experience life with you. Father, if there's anybody in here who's never made a decision to follow your son Jesus, I pray that you would begin to consider that tonight. Begin to consider what they really believe to be true, what they really believe to be moral, what they believe to be right. They would realize that life can't be found in any standard of morality, but life is really only found by following you and following your son Jesus. I pray you continue to work in all of us, and I pray this in your name. Amen.
Would you please stand and worship with us?
of wrong and washed away in your blood. Too much to make sense of it all. I know that your love breaks my fall. The scandal of grace, you died in my place, so my soul will live. Oh, to be like you, to give all I have just to know Jesus, there's no one beside you. Forever the hope in my heart. Your sting, your power is as dead as my sin. The cross sought me to live. Mercy, my heart now is singing. The day and its trouble shall come. I know that your strength is enough. Scandal of grace, died in my place, so my soul will live. Oh, to be like you, to give all I have just to know Jesus, there's no one beside you. Forever the hope in my heart. To be like you, to give all I have just to know Jesus, there's no one beside you. Forever the hope in my heart. The hope in my heart. And it's all because of you. It's all because of you, Jesus. It's all because of your love that my soul will live. Oh, to be like you, to give all I have just to know Jesus, there's no one beside you. Forever the hope in my heart. Oh, to be like you, to give all I have just to know you. Jesus, there's no one beside you. Forever the hope in my heart.
Would you pray with me? Lord, we just thank you so much for your goodness and for your love. Father, you are so beautiful. We thank you for your grace, this free, beautiful gift that you have given to us. We thank you for revealing your truth and your goodness to us, something that we would not have received if it wasn't from you, Lord. Father, you are so powerful, so sovereign, so just. Yet you choose to demonstrate this through your love for us that is never failing. Father, we worship you, and you are worthy of every minute of praise. We love you. Amen.
never fails. I know I still make mistakes, but you have mercies for me every day. Your love never fails. You stay the same through the ages. Your love never changes. There may be pain in the night, but joy comes in the morning. And when the oceans rage, I don't have to be afraid, because I know that you love me. Your love never fails. Oh no. Wind is strong and the water's deep, but I'm not alone here in these open seas, 'cause your love never fails. The chasm is far too wide. I never thought I'd reach the other side, but your love never fails. You stay the same through the ages. Your love never changes. There may be pain in the night, but joy comes in the morning. And when the oceans rage, I don't have to be afraid, because I know that you love me. Your love never fails. Oh no. Oh no. You make all things work together for my good. You make all things work together for my good. My good Lord, you make all things work together for my good. And you make all things work together for my good. You make all things work together for my good. My good Lord, you stay the same through the ages. Your love never changes. There may be pain in the night, joy comes in the morning. And when the oceans rage, I don't have to be afraid, because I know that you love me. Your love never fails. Oh no. Your love never fails. Oh no. Praise our God. You guys can take a seat.
What's up, dude? How you doing, Austin? Good, how are you? Good. Wanna watch some TV? Let's do it.
Do you want to be tanning on a real beach? Yeah. little ocean?
Yeah. All right, thanks for sharing that. That was really deep. It must have been hard of you to share that much about your life with me. Okay, then moving on to the next question. Which of these images describe something that you wish was a part of your life right now? And you can take your time to think about that, but I just really want you to think about that. Just which of these images do you think describe something you wish was going on right now in your life?
Do you want to have conversations with real people?
Yeah.
Alright, you ready to go? Yeah, alright.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna need this. I'll try.
Do you wish you were on a real road trip?
Yeah.
Do you want to bring some color into your life?
Yeah.
Then Panama City Beach is the answer for you. Come spend your spring break with us in Panama City Beach at Big Break. Experience God and community as we learn to share our faith on the beach and enjoy life-changing speakers and worship. This trip can be yours for only 13 easy payments of $35.69.
That's only $425.
You can sign up for Big Break at bigbreak.com. Deadline for sign up is February 19th at noon. You can pay for transportation and registration at the back of ACG. Or you can throw your wallet at Matthew Dodson.
Hey dude, do you have any extra change? I need to go do some laundry.
I actually do have some change, because when I went to the vending machine, I got a nickel back. Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. How did our eyes get so red? What the heck is on Joey's head?
All right, let's give our Markley community group a round of applause for that one. And can we also give a hand for both Nate and our worship band? So 2 important things I want to pull out of that video that are action points for you actually right now. The first is thinking about that deadline for February 19th is actually coming up in only 8 days. And we would love to actually, ironically, have 19 or more people sign up for Big Break. We would love to send 50 students from the University of Michigan down to Panama City Beach for what has been one of the most incredible spring break trips I've ever been on. So consider that, and if you've actually considered and are ready and willing to sign up, we will have that right in the back of this yellow table where Kurt's currently waving after our meeting ends this evening, so you can go back there, and if you are already registered, we encourage you please either this week or next week to pay as well right back there at the same table.
And not to mention, if you join a community group, you can make awesome videos like those. That was pretty sweet. You get to use your creative juices.
Yeah. So what else? We've got a couple other things to kind of think about and talk about, but I know one that I'm excited to hear about is all of you. And that this is the time we're going to pull all those maze cards. If you could please finish filling those out, pass those to the aisle. We're going to select 3 winners today who are going to win gift cards to Hunter House Hamburgers.
Ooh, anybody ever been to Hunter House before?
And if you haven't, 1, it's really good. And 2, if you're like vegetarian or something, they have this wonderful thing called French fries that are really good.
Wow, inspirational.
And so you can start passing those on into the aisle.
And we will collect those, and there will be 3 lucky winners for Hunter House. And you can go with your friends right after ACG. Where is Hunter House located, Mara?
Hunter House, if you do not know, is down on William Street. And if that's even more confusing to you, if you go out the Union, you're going to be on State Street. hang a left. That first intersection you come to with Jimmy John's, hang another left, and it's more or less like right there.
Perfect. While you guys are filling out those maze cards and passing them up or to the outside, we mentioned earlier that we just recently adopted a new movement to our campus. And so the people I'm talking to in the audience is any of you, men or women, who are involved in ROTC. So this is for you. This is our reach for you. This is our ministry for you. And I could talk all about this. But just like I said with the game earlier, I would love to have my man who's in charge of it all come and speak to us about this. So can you guys give a hand to Kristian Bell?
How's everyone doing? As you said, my name is Kristian. I'm in ROTC. Can any of you guess which branch? Yeah, good job. That's why they call us the leaders and best. So, like you said, so Valor is Crew's ministry to cadets and midshipmen in ROTC across the nation. So our goal, two main goals. One is to grow our faith in God and Jesus Christ, and the second is to build spiritual readiness. So as future officers, we will be in charge of America's finest in all the branches. So we want to be prepared to deal with, to help them physically, mentally, and spiritually. It's spiritually is the more lacking one in the Army right now, or in the military right now. So we started this in January. We have several cadets and midshipmen already came out. It's been awesome so far. So right now we're still building. We're trying to get momentum. So far it's going really well. So this is how you guys can help. Two ways. One, prayer. You can always pray for us, just to pray that this movement just gains momentum and goes where God wants us to go. And secondly, some of you might have friends in ROTC or know someone who's ROTC in class. I would like you to encourage them to, if at the crews, they don't want to come to all campus gathering or community group, talk to them about Valor. It's designed specifically for cadets. We're going to be taught, and midshipmen. Sorry, Navy. We talk about more military-related aspects of the Bible, like what we do right, leadership, that kind of stuff. So if you know anyone in Navy, Army, Marines, Air Force, yes, even Air Force. I love the Air Force, don't worry. Just tell them to contact me. I'll be known as Cadet Bell in Army ROTC. And for any of you who are in ROTC, we meet at 1900 in the Army Cadet Lounge, which is kind of right next to the Navy Cadet Lounge. Thank you guys so much. God bless America, and go blue.
Thank you, Kristian.
Definitely, thank you. For those of you guys that are still, we've been talking about Panama City Beach, our spring break trip. I want to give a quick blurb. Any guys who still looking for summer plans, not exactly sure what you're going to do, the summer missions application is still open, so you guys are free to apply to that at any time. Excellent opportunity, especially if you guys are looking for a summer, maybe want to spend it with crew. Excellent opportunity. Check that out. You can go and apply. It's on the screen over there, crew.org/summer.
And if you're looking for other ways to get involved, I love how this fits right in with our topic of social justice. Remind me again, how many of you out there are passionate about social justice? I'm right there with you. And one way we can get involved is with the Aruna Project, as Nate mentioned. They're doing incredible things in South Asia to free women, and we actually have our very own Ann Arbor Aruna 5K coming up in just under 2 months. It's on April 9th. For $20, you get a t-shirt, you get a bag that these women actually make in the jobs that they are doing over there, and you get to help support the cause because every single dollar of that registration is going towards these women. And so we would love for you, go online, sign up in teams, whether you be like the Markle Sparkle group or you want to be the West Quad, Best Squad, sign up and just get involved and get your friends involved because we get to run in this race not only to help raise money, but also to wear the names of these women across our chests. And it's just such an incredible opportunity, and I am super excited and looking forward to that.
It's an excellent opportunity to learn more about human trafficking, also engage students in that, because we could sit kind of passively and just not really do anything about it. But the Aruna 5K provides us with a way to do something about this issue of trafficking. Apart from Aruna 5K, also just in a couple days, we have a kickoff event for something that happens every year on campus for those who just are wanting to spend more time in prayer. And so just in a couple days, we're kicking off 40 days of prayer. And this is at the University Lutheran Chapel. And what this is, for those of you guys that are not familiar with this, the University Lutheran Chapel located down in Washtenaw opens up their doors in a room in the chapel for prayer 24 hours, 7 days a week for 40 days. Yeah, it's awesome. Actually, I know this might sound like, wow, really? Like, who actually goes to that? A lot of people go, and it's a lot of fun, and it can be really impactful. So whether or not you want to go and spend time in the Word, reading God's Word, or prayer, or even worship, is a great place to go. Open, I kid you not, 24/7. You go at 2 in the morning if you want. But actually, this Saturday is a kickoff event for that, and that is going to be at 7 p.m. at the University Lutheran Chapel, located on Washtenaw. It'll be in their prayer room. It shouldn't be too hard to find. They'll have some signs in there when you go. But would love to have a ton of us from Crew go out and support them in that. And that's an awesome ministry to be checking out over the next 40 days.
And last but not least, if you've seen any of your friends or fellow Crew peers wandering around with apparel, we're actually selling more apparel. We've got some new stuff in right back in the corner. So if you have money, yes, it does cost money. Unfortunately, it's not free. You can head on back there afterward. We would love you to have a t-shirt. We've got these baseball tees, long sleeve tees, and quarter zips, which is like the most fuzzy and wonderful thing that I think I own. Definitely encourage you to check those out. But now, right before we close, we collected maze cards, right? So we would love to figure out who it is that won the gift cards to Hunter House Hamburgers.
All right, who do we got? Can we get a quick drum roll? Ooh.
All right, and you're going to find us after Nicoletta Ciariolo. I am sorry, I just slaughtered
Nicoletta. Do we got a Nicoletta?
Woo!
All right, come on. Nicoletta, you can find us afterwards. Come up afterwards.
Come on
Nicoletta.
up and find us after. We will be still up here.
Yes, we
All
will.
right, second, Eric Vario Jr.
Eric, do we got Eric? All right,
Woo!
Eric, find us afterwards. Who's our last winner, Mara?
Last
and
but
it
not
could be you if you filled out the maze card.
J. Robert Norris.
Shane Norris. All right.
Yeah, so come and find us afterward, and we will be giving you the free money to go to Hunter House Hamburgers.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks again, everyone, for coming out tonight. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you enjoyed the community, the talk from Nate, the worship. I encourage you guys going on from here, the things that Nate said or any questions you have about Crew or community or anything that's going on, we'd love for you guys to just continue the conversation with each other after this. Just like Turner shared earlier today, let's not just leave here and just have it all kind of go out of our heads, but let's just keep it going. And let's keep it going, caring for one another, loving one another. And again, thank you guys for coming out tonight. I wish you a great night. God bless and go Blue.